give you a little insights like that, you know.
Yes.
So my lady who's trying to say hello now, he's not even there yet. Okay. No, he's getting dressed. This is
sorry.
This is his OnlyFans, so he has no shirt on. Yeah. No, he's here now, hon. Come on. He's here now. Yeah. So this is the deal, right? You remember when we were all over at Hyman's event?
Yes.
She caught a seizure there.
Really?
Oh yeah, she was gone for like 20 minutes. I found her right before going outside. And people say, oh yeah, she walked there. She took a chair, she was dragging it across the floor.
Oh yeah, I remember that one.
You remember? Yeah. Anyway, so that's the reason why I don't go to events. I'll give you an example. 2 weeks ago, you had K-Talk on Sunday. I'm going. The night before, Jazzy J's freaking birthday party and Al Pizarro. I'm going. Wildcat Molina, they had a memorial for him. I'm going. 3 o'clock Saturday to patch up a few people at Lamar's. I'm going. No, I'm not. She caught 2 seizures between Friday and Saturday because normally I have on 3 patches, and those 3 patches went 20 days, no seizure. Impossible. Now, the longest she had been was 28 days, Dr. Sabi, over at with Ma'a, we know for years, but on $1,200, I can't do it. A month. So I only did it for 2 months, and I had to find alternative ways. So the bottom line is that the reason why I cannot make commitments usually, and I got to say it like that up until this point, because things are starting to change based on her safety. She still caught a seizure 2 days ago while we were in a lady's house doing the freaking test right down the hall. And but it was so light that I was able to walk her with it. It's not the one that she cracked the eye early in the year and got this 8 stitches. It's not that one. So, all that to say, that's the reason why I didn't go to the dinner. I make a commitment and then I don't freaking know. This time bomb freaking takes off and it's horrible. But I believe that we have it resolved because so far, like right now, she's gonna go without me. I don't let her go without me. But at the same time, it limits things that we can do. But she literally could die, right? Walking across the street, seizure, and it's happened, And then next thing I know, I get a phone call and she's in the hospital. And then the protocol that they follow will have her fight the doctors, and they still have to go through the protocol, which just antagonizes her even more. When if they leave her for freaking 30 seconds, it'll come down. But they don't know that. They have to follow the standard order procedure. But I know that for me to bear witness to that, it's almost like I want to kill them because they antagonizing for no reason. And then they leave the freaking place. And I'm like, first of all, she should have never went there. Anyway, you took the money out?
Yeah, from the wallet. It was in my pocket.
Did you count it?
Oh, no.
That is a good start. So anyway, that's why. But what
does she wear these 2?
No, she wears. Well, no. So the 3, you have one of them. You need peace. You need focus, peace and focus, and then you have liberty or victory. Those 3 there. Like first and foremost, liberty is the foundational one. They call it.
126.
They call it the fountain of keep the $3. They call it the fountain of youth patch. That's the name of it. Fountain of youth patch. What the heck is that? Out of all things, and I have the fountain of youth tour. What? James Sisko was supposed to set up at the tournament. He's the first one that told me about it. He didn't show up. He had a seminar 2 days after. Soki Hassan, and the rest is history. I wasn't trying to do this thing, but I said, I believe that everything happens for a reason and purpose, right? In God's speed, right? And I just have to be aware how to navigate through the science. Okay, that being the case, I'm on my way to Florida to decompose. My student flies me down to do recording number 3 of Wild Now with over 10 hours of SniperFight.com. all my so-called secrets, how I catch people, how I manipulate their breathing, their mindset, their postures, etc. Understand, all the intricate details of how to and how to prevent. Okay, honey. So, honey, just put the
You said keep the 2 books.
No. Put just put 100 and keep the rest.
Okay.
So
Girls. Mommy.
so I'm like, Soki contacted me for the 3rd time. He's out of character. Like, he doesn't do that. And the last thing he wrote was, he would normally be all over this. The reason he said that is because I got him into Isogenics 4 years ago. And with that company, I did $35,000 during the pandemic from the house. And I won the highest level, which is the Crystal Executive Award. But it was because my passion to help people superseded me having to ask people, did you take the pill, did you take the pill, did you take the pill, did you make the shake, did you, like, I don't like antagonizing people. If they choose to eat that, God bless them, enjoy your freaking meal, because just because I haven't eaten red meat since 1988 doesn't mean anybody else has to. They got their free will, and I respect it. However, when they're giving me that they have illnesses, the lupus, the sleep apnea, in my mom's case, the asthma, all of them could be detrimental to a high level. So I try to investigate, and Parkinson's. So these are the 4 people I had to deal with. Every single one of them have had 3 different protocols proven in the medical journals, and they aren't even medicine. To 4th stage cancer, reversed it. Dr. Sebi did it with food. Dr. Joe Dispenza did it with meditation. And he did it to the point where he was a quadriplegic for 12 weeks. Doing the triathlon, he gets clipped by a truck of all things during the biking. From the neck down, quadriplegic, laying on his face. They say all the different fusions and metals that they want to put on. He says, no. Chiropractor. He reconstructed his spine in his mind. 12 weeks after, he's walking again. It's a miracle. No, it's not. It's the connection between the brain and the body that we're witnessing right now with the hacks that we're going through. Okay. He writes books, plural, puts people on brain scans. 100 people, 200 people, 300 people, 500 people. Weekend retreat, diaphragmatic breath, going up to 33 freaking, come on, right to the pineal gland, and they know before the person walks again, right before the connection. Can you already see what part of the brain is getting ready to connect? See, walk, talk, cancer, lupus, diabetes, high blood pressure, Parkinson's, gone. That was the second protocol. Third one, Wim Hof. First name Wim, last name Hof, Scandinavian, using the old, ancient code. The code is therapy, right? But because this is God's skin. God gave us this skin, not these. But we don't know how to use this. This is our body, as you said. This is our coat. We don't know how to use it. It gets tighter. I've been outside, 9-degree weather. I'm looking forward to when it gets colder right now. Even though they're manipulating that, that's another thing. But regardless, the point is that I'm going to go out there to use the cold to my advantage because that's what keeps you alive. The heat kills you. You don't have a heart transplant in the microwave. You have it on ice. You don't have a heart transplant. It's on ice. Everything is on ice. So the ice is the frontal cortex and reptilian mind that makes you just respond and do things. Not the monkey brain that makes you want to taste everything and is inquisitive. It's taking action. Which, of course. So the point still is that I know that I'm here to help people. That's all I've ever done. That's all I've ever done. Motivate people to do things, inspire them, But I also know that based on my own marketing, I know what I've done specifically. For example, September 20th, 1981, I come back from a karate tournament asking the only person I ever asked for an autograph in my life, Bill Superfoot Wallace, for his autograph. And back then I even thought about, man, you chump, freaking asking for an autograph. Get off his dick. Right? This is the mindset. But I ain't give a damn. I went all the way to Brooklyn, Nick Atlas tournament, and I didn't even compete. I had no money. But I still went and got home. I said, Mom, I need a nickname. She said, Fearless Fast Feet. I said, Mom, that's too many F's. My last name is Fontanes. I will snap on myself. You funky fuck. I will snap on me. I don't want to give any ammo to anybody. Let's use first name Fast, last name Feast, and I promise you I'll always be fearless. My mom didn't want no punk, no chump, no sissy. Father's incarcerated, so mom is my father. And I never slept with him, or should they live with him. So everything I do is based on the values that I learned from women in my family, starting with my grandmother, who was probably your complexion, maybe a little darker. And she ran 119 between second and third because she had 300 members in the social club. And my cousin Orlando is one of the founding members of the Renegades of Harlem. And Mono still runs the block in terms of community stuff. So that's where my environment, was until 1971, when they put that garbage across 109th Street, and the Young Lords, created a problem for us because now mom doesn't like the idea that we can't go to the Cosmo to watch a movie when it's only Spanish. So we moved up to the Bronx to a better neighborhood. 1971. I got exposed to what would be 5 Fingers of Death, or you can't talk to me now. What? I got the Iron Fist. We playing cops and robbers. You shooting at me. I'm blocking. I shot you. Nah, I blocked it. Iron Fist. Bro, you crazy, man. I didn't give a damn. I was convinced. That was 1971. Can't join Jerome Mackey's, but I'm watching the commercials. Take out the little slip every time. Can't do it. Public assistance doesn't pay for that. Father's incarcerated. Even with a stepdad, he ain't buying that. He's buying the Evel Knievel for his son, which is my brother, but not me. So I work out anywhere. In the basement, the rooftop. There was 3 of us working out. There was one uniform. That the super who came out of Vietnam. So one day I get to wear the top. One day I get to wear the pants. And the day they let me wear the freaking belt, I went to school with it. Didn't know how to tie it. I just kept wrapping it under my freaking waist. And I'm in CES 35. Right there, Morris Avenue. In the schoolyard, I'm one of the baddest freaking karate guys. Yeah, kick people in the back of the neck. The leader of my crew is Charlene, big girl. I think her brothers was Bug Out and a bunch of people, BO, whatever from. And the other guy the other team leader is Bruce, world famous Brucey B.
You talking about Bug Out from
the
Valley?
Yeah. So Bug Out, known as BO, who was down with the Gigante family and the Zulu Gestapo that was doing the security and ended up getting murdered on Castle Hill. That Bug Out, BO. I'm sure there's other ones, but the point still is that was the one in terms of the hip hop world in Zulu. But there's a whole army. I think Charlene was the sister. Anyway, the point is that that's what happened. Then I'm coming in, and I notice on Webster Avenue, about 160-ish, I want to say before 167, there's a community center on the right-hand side. And someone was teaching there, and I got to find out who it was, because I went there to a workout one time. Hot as hell, but I know the style was Goju. And the twins, 2 of the twins, there was twins that were training there, and I worked out. So at the time, I'm probably 8 years old. Everybody else is teenager or adult. I'm trying to sneak in. Could only go one time because it's pretty far from the house, but I still went. Then I finally, April 19th, 1976. Oh no, backtrack. 1971, we moved to the neighborhood. Just before we moved to the neighborhood, we scouted in the area, and I noticed that on 165th Street in Sherman Avenue, there's a Met supermarket, and right next to it, there's a karate school, the Dynamic Dojo. By the time I moved there, Dynamic Dojo was gone. They had moved over to 3rd Avenue, I believe. And that's where Monroe Merrill and Barry Jackson and Lamar Thornton and Earl Bennett trained them. So I know this year after, speaking to Barry, Aduma Takabe, and I'm like, wow, but I joined April 19th, 1976, Tiger Kim's. My mother put me in Tiger Kim's because when she went to 3rd Avenue to Hawk Frazier's, it didn't smell right. It didn't look clean. She's a clean freak, and she's not going to be around any nastiness. She don't play that. My mom, you can eat off the floor. I didn't mind because I wanted to go to that store anyway because my friends went there and I went to visit one time. And I saw him in the Oriental Wall of Self-Defense on TV. I'm like, what? And I've never seen anybody that muscular besides Bolo in martial arts, but his guy was flying. It wasn't like he was just a strong guy. He was agile. Like, it freaked me out. That wasn't normal. The jump like, and then his brother, Byung-Min Kim, oh my God. So I'm in class with the twins and so on and so forth. Get my first yellow belt in a month and a half, which back then was unheard of. But I'm taking 4 classes. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and on Saturday, I'm there all day. I'm cleaning the place. I'm a disciple. I'm not a student. But we're so poor that I don't even have a white uniform. I have a khaki uniform because it was $2 cheaper. Where? 3rd Avenue, where Everlast, the Everlast store was. 3rd Avenue, bro. And they had a karate uniform. So, and I became Little Louis. My boy Louis Trujillo was a bad fighter. I don't see traditional karate, I should say open tournaments, until 1979. And that was Ching Valencia and Lamar Thornton throwing a tournament at the YMCA on Webster Avenue, the original building before they moved it. Same spot during that time, maybe a night or two before, where Raheem, part of the Funky Four, battled against the Furious Four, where the DJ that night was Charlie Chase, because Flash and them had another beef again.
Wow.
Yes. Same location. And why do I know this? Raheem
I know
was,
Charlie personally.
yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Raheem was one of the parents in the school. So I'm into I have a great memory, never been a pothead, wasn't a dust head, so I can remember people's, when they talk about this and that happened, I'm like, bro, how you know? You was high. Stop. Like, come on. You was a dust head. You was a stick-up kid. You was on the OJs. Come on, stop. But regardless, the point is that I have an explicit, vivid memory to 2 things, martial arts and hip-hop. And because of that, I get into conflicts of interest with people because they don't have a good memory. But then there's a thing called video. And people forget. And I'm only 59, but people think I'm in my 60s because I've been around long enough. At 17, I won my first grand championship. At 16, I was teaching and fighting men because they threatened me. Once you get to the big boys. And I looked around, even though I know she wasn't there. I was like, I hope my mom's not here, because my mom would have stabbed him. My mom would have stabbed him. No question about it. With that same 007 that my grandmother had. Or the ice pick that she gave to my fiance before she passed away. So my point is that this time around, even though I started UMAN in 2007, they disrespected Lee Island. They meaning Crane. And they got rid of Crane. Like, they got rid of him. And I put together, I called Juggernaut and a bunch of people. I got him probably about 100 competitors and about 5 judges so he can do what became a success. And what was that? Have Larry Carnahan come down and test to see if they would pass this time to be an A-rated tournament by NASCAR. And we pulled it off. Now, I didn't do it personally because I was living out in Flemington, New Jersey, way out west, where the city's Philadelphia to them. But Lee's always been a straight shooter with me. Capricorn brother on top of that. So he didn't come to the what was the network party that I had at my house in Flemington, where Earl Bennett was at, Gerald Dawson, Garth Benz, and Jotty Tension. And that wasn't my big house. That was the 4,800 square feet before I went to the 6,500 square feet. That's in Karate Cribs with a K, that I did as a pilot. That I wanted to find out how other people living. You guys talk all this shit. Let me see how you living. I'm showing you how I'm living. That's a circular driveway. That's 150,000 of pavers right there. And this is only half an acre. And it's 2010, and I did part 1 and part 2. And I'm still holding on to that because that's one of the things I still want to be able to do. Why? To me, martial arts is bigger than this nonsense that people do. It is life. Like, your decisions come from a variety of things, but martial arts is part of it, right? So if it's martial arts, that means that is the art of war, but you go to war for peace, not for war, etc., etc., etc. The high ground, divide and conquer, flank, all that stuff. You do it in the ring, you do it in the boardroom, where lives are really destroyed for generations, where they read the same Book of 5 Rings in the Art of War and use it for, good or bad, depending on, what perspective or what side you're on. So anyway, all that to say is that I'm happy that you're back doing things, because I know you was gone for a minute. And I do remember you and I went up there, went all the way up there. Vanessa right now is doing promotions like crazy, man. She's doing boxing promotions a lot in Colombia. Her husband's a professional boxer, and she was managing some people for a minute too that was down with French Montana on those crews. So I'm proud of her. And she was training with me when I was over at Mosuko School about 7 years ago. Where I went there and I said, Mosuko, I want to teach a handful of students, and I want to give me some space. And he was like, well, maybe Saturday. I said, no, I have a budget. Rent me the ring for 1 hour twice a week. And he got paid, and I got paid, and everybody was fine. See, because it has to make sense. You take a situation, and you go, how can we leverage this? How do you make the most out of this situation? The strengths and weaknesses. He had a location. He wanted to give me space for free based out of respect. Oh, no, free doesn't work. Free 99, you're going to have a problem. You're going to have a problem. Because bills have to be paid. You got to dot the I's, you have to cross the T's, you got to do stuff. Now, once in a while, you can make a sacrifice unintentionally and still survive it. Like I had to borrow $250 from Cash App, which people don't even know Cash App will send you money, to finalize my so-called debt to the location of the tournament. And it's not because I didn't make enough to justify it. It was because I gave away a little too much. No problem. They deserved it. I wish I wish I would have more. You know what I mean? But hey, it was a great test market. It was impossible. People did not think that was going to happen. You don't promote a tournament in 3 months from June and people on vacation. You don't get people to fly from San Diego, Arizona. 2 people from Arizona. Toki came from, you don't get Toki Hill in the Bronx. Excuse me? Joyce Santa Maria in the Bronx. And that's not counting those who sent me heart-wrenching, I can't make it. I can't be in 2 places at once. You know? And I pulled off the impossible. But I know you was there. You're sitting on stage to my right-hand side, and you're like thinking. And I can see the smoke. I can see the smoke because, listen, years ago, I started doing interviews. I call them MMA Power Talks. I interviewed, like I mentioned, Abdul Matakabe, but also Tommy May. Malaya the Cascos, but also Keith Vitale. John Chung, oh, excuse me, sorry, not John, George Chung and Charlie Lee. Scott Coker, who at the time was Bellator's CEO. And I'll stop there, but it's a long, oh, sorry. The impossible one. Martial arts first superstar, Mike Stone. So when I did his interview, it's the first time he ever had done a Zoom. And he got me like you would to some young buck that you say you got to watch it. Because if you keep doing that, you're going to get hairy palms. And he checks. He played me, bro. He said, let's do it at 12 o'clock. Perfect. Me not thinking 12 o'clock. Well, he's in the Philippines. It's 12 o'clock, midnight for me. But it worked out. Phenomenal, metaphysical. He talked about the non-existence of time and deep. Now, what I have done with that recently, I put it into a one-page map, like I did for a bunch of people. That's their blueprint. That's a little overview of some of the aspects of their extensive lives. What else can we do to show appreciation? Talk? No, take action. So now you're taking action, right? Then the next question is, what? But what's next? I was mentored by great Grandmaster Aaron Banks, who was on my payroll for 3 years. But I was also in a great relationship and joint ventures with Mike Anderson, who invented Waco, PK before that, Top 10, and had the first international magazines called The Fighter. That was the same guy, who happens to be from Queens, New York, and people had no idea, because no one asked him. They go to him to get information, to be hooked up. They never asked him about him. So for 3 years, that's how, years ago, the average top fighter had a rec suit on, ring star sneakers, a top 10 headgear, and macho equipment. When I sold them the top 10 headgear, the ring star sneakers with a joint venture with Steve Shepard, rest in peace, the founder of it. And that's how we did the deal with Macho, where I made the uniform and I co-branded their name on it. Well, that's not the karate school owner that had 1,000 students and 6 schools at one point. That's not the top 10 fighter that still to this very day beats kids that are teenagers in their 20s in grand championships. That's another person. That's the manufacturer joint venture to make sure that the industry benefits by using the elements that make up the entire industry. So that's the pizza guy that gets sauce from here, cheese from there, oil from there, oven from there, and everybody eats because it's part of the same industry. Martial arts doesn't think like that. Then the third person, who's by my mentor, but really my student when it comes to modern day marketing, but I still give him the credit because he is an elder, is Joe Corley. Only martial arts, probably top 3 greatest promoters. Well, the other 2 will be Mike Anderson and great Grandmaster Aaron Banks. So I've always been able to communicate with these elders because I ask them pertinent questions. But I also know their history. And that's where the challenge is. Most people have no idea. If someone's been around the last 30 years, they do not know that in 1986, that was the last time we saw sport karate as it was in the platinum era that I say is from 77 to 86, where they still had the fake positions, ankles, they could still knock you out. I just put a videotape there months ago, I just rebroadcasted it, of John Longstreet, that most people have no idea who he is. In the meantime, he does a jumping back kick with the left leg, drops down and sweeps Jesse Thornton and then stomps him in a fraction of a second. Well, we didn't think those guys could sweep. They were Taekwondo stylers, right? Oh, then you see the best pound-for-pound fighter of all time from New York, in my opinion, the great Shihan William Oliver, gets swept by Keith Vitale. And as he is swept like this, he punches Vitale in the face. Yes, he got swept, and I put that on slow-mo in one of the videos way back when. The same way the so-called two-step, cross-step blitz, first one ever recorded in 1966, August, at the semifinals of the Karate Internationals. That was Mr. Carlos Norris, a.k.a. Chuck. And I put that on video as he's fighting against Kipper Mullins. because they were the first ones that did that technique. Tang Soo Do stylists doing that, yes, because they were training with the JKA fighters, Frank Smith and Tolly Tullamus, cross training in the 60s in California. The information's out there if people have a chance to have a conversation, but they usually don't, because they are separated first by regions of the country, styles, and then et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I've never been part of anybody. So I'm part of everybody. That's why I can go to any of the so-called tribes and speak to the elders, and they just say the same thing. He's always been crazy. Because karate to me is not fighting. I live here. There's a store called Cambodia. The infamous Vietnam is where my lady's from. That's 2 blocks down. We're not bragging about that. It's just our village. You know? So I'm excited now because Eddie Morales years ago was doing martial force. And I was like, Eddie, that's great. And I said to him, so I started doing the audio interviews where you would get on a free conference call. That's the way it had to be. And I interviewed him. He's like, well, why are you interviewing me? Because you are media. You're important. You are the connection to the masses and what you're doing. And I said to him, what you should be doing is audio. He's like, no, I don't want to. No. I said, listen, he said, I don't want to copy. That's your thing. Hold on a second. What's my thing? I didn't have a freaking audio conference. What are you talking about? I say, listen, if there was 100 people like me, there's still not enough people. There's so many freaking, are you kidding me? There's freaking thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of these incredible lives that we don't know about. I mean, no. The problem is exactly that. There's work to be done, but no one's committed to the work, and they don't even know what work to do. If there's a top, you take 100 promoters right now. Have them do the things that I'm doing. There's still not enough space, I should say time, to reach everybody.
That's right.
There's legends right now, 1 foot in the damn grave. And when you say hello to them, they go, oh, you remember me? And all of a sudden they start picking stuff up. Oh, bro, it's heart-wrenching to me. It hurts me at the core. At the core. And I hear my mother loud and clear. My mother's my motivation. When I came here, my brother passed away. You know, when he was a younger one, I'll have to tell you, right? And I spoke to him just, a few hours before that. And I was in Florida. Less than 24 hours I was here. My mom couldn't even believe it. But the point was that 2 weeks before that, I had to clean my brother's face of blood. And that was the most incredible. And I told him, listen, I'm really worried for you. So I knew something, this is a little beyond. Anyway, so he passed away, and it was so painful for me because I wasn't in the same financial situation that I had been previously. What happened, huh? She did it again? It's okay. So my point was, I said, now I got to stay closer to mom, even though I hadn't seen mom in 7 years. And it's not because my doors were closed, was because now I lived out in the burbs, and that whole mindset about just nonsense, just unnecessary nonsense. But I never took it personal. Mom wouldn't tell me I love you in 10 years. My father would tell me I love you every conversation multiple times. They had their own different ways to show their love. I didn't think, oh, Dad loves me, Mom doesn't. No, they're the same love. It's just their expression of it. And then they also have their own, everybody has their own story. But the point was that now I'm saying I got to stay closer to Mom. Eventually I became a caregiver, and just over a year ago, she passed away right there. But before she passed away, we had the best 3 months ever. She finally understood her son a little more, because she couldn't understand why you always want to do these things. I said, Mom, because it's fun. I like to have a great time, man. Listen, if I'm going to be miserable, I'd rather be miserable home. I don't want to be publicly miserable. So that's why people take it personal, because they go into the tournament and it's like, I'm like, bro, this ain't fighting. What? There's rules here, bro. This ain't fighting. There are rules. But there's definitely going to be some pugilism happening right now. And on that note, I think I'm going to whip your butt. Why? Because I know I can. But you're going to try to whip my butt, and please, because by doing that, you're going to make me get better. So that's why every single one of these freaking monsters, bro, can you imagine being 130 pounds, 16 years old, fighting against Speedy Wilson? This guy's in the AAU team fighting with Billy Blanks, Toki Hill, him and Michael Sledge, Look Up as he was known. And then I fight against the #1 super lightweight in the country, Gary Michak, at a national karate tournament. After I beat some guy named Anthony Holloway, aka Mafia, and neither one of us belonged in that adult division because I was 16 and he was just 15. And I go to hit this guy with a ridge hand. Oh, and I beat Earl Omega Smith, the co-founder of the Purple Dragons, up with Greg Kinney from Syracuse, and I beat the guy. And in my division is Sonny Ono, super lightweights. This is the J Park Nationals, 1982. I win the young adult division, beating a guy named Clifton Blair, one of the most dangerous dudes, aka Bogart, from Fred Hamilton. And I beat him, and he actually spoke to me because we were out of state. So now I guess we were New Yorkers, and it was okay. But in New York, you couldn't talk. But over there, we could. And then Billy Blank said to me, "You should fight the men division. You could beat them now." I was like, "Huh?" But I believed him. He's my mentor. It's not my nemesis. The night before my jaw got broken, I'm wearing the Billy Blank's patch on. Because he's the one that taught me how to blitz. The reason I got my jaw broken was because I made two mistakes. First mistake, I knocked out a guy the night before, and I thought that it was on purpose. It's by accident. In other words, I'm 20, testosterone was through the roof. I'm fighting representing New York, the Boogie Down, Boricuas, any minority group that I'm part of, and I'm proud of it. I'm wearing that on my back, whether they realize it or not. I'm representing to the fullest, right? And I win. I beat Mafia Holloway, Reggie Toussaint, Gus Lugo, and one of the Jose's. But I knocked one of them out. But I won. And that was the first time and only time I spoke to the guy watching my division that says, Ed Parker. And I'm blown away, right? So I won the middleweight division. I'm the only New Yorker on stage. The next day, this was on Friday night in Hunter College, the elimination. Then we fight on Saturday at the Felt Forum. Awesome. I'm the only guy on stage that's from New York. Only one representing hip-hop. Only one representing Boogie Down, only one representing Boricuas, etc. Again, the minority groups that I'm part of all of them, and I embrace them all. And I think I'm losing. So I say, I'm going to knock him out. Can you imagine this mindset? I'm going to knock him out. Why? I knocked out the guy last night, even though it was by accident. But Billy got knocked out twice that year. And people see that one knockout where Larry Kelly hits him and he's asleep before he hits the floor. So I said, he has a glass jaw. I'm going to knock him out. I'm going to hit him with and if you see when I get hit, I don't even have my hands up engaged. I just walk into it with my mouth. I had a mouthpiece. Quiet. I had a mouthpiece that was the rubber mouthpiece, not the molded one. I got hit from the side of my face with my mouth open. Anybody could knock you out, right? And then Billy hit me with a left hand, but he's left-handed. So that was a power punch. I didn't realize the score was 5-5. I'm embarrassing him. You don't score 5-5 on Billy Blanks or Nasty Anderson or any of these freaking guys on. No. So I had a whole bunch more points. When I watched it, it was 8-3. That's what should have been the actual score. And that technique broke my jaw. So, of course, he got disqualified, right? No. He won grand champion. I'm not complaining. But I am over now in the hospital, and my edge-to-edge teeth all of a sudden slip a little bit after a few weeks of being wired. And I'm like, my mom's going to kill me. Because she was happy that I had edge-to-edge teeth and no cavities. That's the only pride. If you're poor, it's only going to be your house, cleanliness, and your children not avoiding three things: jail, liar, and a cheat. Meaning values, respect, honor. Anyhow, so all I'm saying is that when I'm listening to you, I'm feeling it because your sister and that tragic event, to think how people just forget, and you can't. It's part of your freaking whole life, you know. My brother was a phenomenal MC, but he was sharing my rhymes. And a year and a half after, he has a deal because he was more talented than me. I just have more discipline. Maybe it's my OCD or A through Z. But he was absolutely, you know, but I've always been able to see things from a different perspective, panoramic. And I ask questions and I go back in time, you know, because realistically, if you want to learn about promotions, then you better read P.T. Barnum. P.T. Barnum, who now people think about him because of the circus. No, way before the circus. These are the real masters of what would be marketing and promotions. You know, magnetic marketing with that. Well, I mean, and these are the ones that I haven't read recently. But I got that from one of my students who literally works really close with Russell Brunson, who invented funnels, not websites, funnels that puts you into a step process of sales that has been used all over the world. And my student went to jail for 5 years. It was the best thing that ever happened to him. And it was because he wouldn't drop a dime on somebody that he didn't know the information on anyway. But you can't lie to the feds, right? So he did 5 years and they did a documentary on him. And they got nominated for an Academy Award. So he's the one that got me to put, now we got 12 hours of sniperfight.com. Every freaking question you can ever ask me, highlights, the sparring curriculum and everything. God forbid I pass away today. There's information for generations to come that a lot of people will help. And that's why sniperfight.com, people, when they register, they get 2-3 months of that inclusive. And if they utilize that, because, yes, listen, Yamaguchi didn't know how to blitz, bro. Funakoshi didn't know how to fake and reposition. We developed that. Americans did. And then the Europeans learned from us. But now you live in Europe. Everything that they're doing with the 3 judges, with the point here, it's nonsense. And it's really because the Europeans want the Olympics badly. It's never advantageous for us, Americans, because we don't get paid by the country just to represent. They get paid to train. And that's the reason why they took the quality of the extended glove to the front hand. But people drank that Kool-Aid. I'm in Bowen, England, and I'm speaking to the promoter, I should say the president of WACO, England, and the vice president. At the time, it was Peter Edwards and Neville Ray. And these guys are seniors. They all train with the same style called Lagar. So if you look at Alfie Lewis, look at all the top fighters, they all came from Lagar for some reason, which is a kung fu style. And I said, man, you guys, I said, first of all, I know you since you had hair because Peter was bald. He also was he also had cancer, but he was bald. And I said, and I know you, Neville, which was the elder. And I'm thinking Neville should be the president because he's the senior, anyway, whatever. And I said, so you guys, you're from my generation and before that. What's the trouble with this back fist to the body? They go, we hate that. I said, then why you have it? We got outvoted. And I'm like, but yeah, we hate it. I said, it's bad enough with the little fags doing point karate, but now we're doing pointless karate. That's called fencing with your glove. The hand's not even in there. He said, listen, Jerry, you don't understand. And that's when I got educated. He said, if we get Olympic sanction, that means the players get paid just to train. And I said, and I guess the coaches too. He said, yep. I said, so you sold out for the money? They looked at each other. They went, yeah. I said, I can't blame you. I'm not mad at anybody. I just choose not to, but that's okay for them. You know, that's when I'm hearing you say what you said about other people making decisions, they have to fight their demons and then be able to have their own, man in the mirror talk. I ain't judging nobody, but I understood it more. And I'm like, wow. But I said to them and a few other people, let's look at a little history. What has the Olympic done to martial arts? First sport was 1967, judo. That's not the same judo. And then people don't realize that WAKO, the World All-Styles Karate Organization, the original name, was started by Mike Anderson and George Bruckner from Germany, but Anderson was the one that did the deal with the president of the IOC, International Olympic Committee. Because after he had the PKA in 1974, they said, we can't call out a world championships unless you prove that these people won. You got to go develop a sport, grassroots. So 1975, he goes and they petitioned to IOC Sport Karate. They say you can't use that. Why? The Japanese, WUKO, already has submitted for that. So they came up with a hybrid. Well, you are boxing and you're kicking, call it kickboxing. So that's how kickboxing became what WAKO was known as. And we are known as semi-contact kickboxers, which is point. Continuous contact and so on. And light contact was continuous. And then full contact is really a kickboxing organization. All this information, you speak to 100 people. They don't know nothing about what the hell I'm talking about. Because they weren't born or they weren't part of it. And if I talk about NASCAR, well, we precede NASCAR. In fact, now if I talk about the NBL, NBL does not happen without me. That's the reason why we had groin kicks every other year at the freaking, because 3/4 of the country was a groin kicking. NASCAR has no groin kick. That means they shafted Texas, California, and Chicago, the three biggest areas that had the three biggest organizations. And I told boys what to do to make it into what would be national and international. I'll have international, the September event will be an international event. The same way when I had 5 countries when I started UMAN way back when, but life got in the way with 4 children. A nanny and a dog and a freaking businesses that went to hell in a handbag. So I'm not in that same situation no more. I said it before, and of course Abdulaziz would say, don't say that. Bro, I don't care if I make a red cent in the tournament. Makes no difference. To me, those people need freaking to get hooked up. It's ridiculous. You want to freaking help people? In my respect, this is what I believe. When I said to, as a matter of fact, Derek was the one that wrote publicly, I have not made that much money in a tournament ever, let alone the last few years. He told me, he said that, and he could have won 2 grands. The people that did fight for grand, Justo and Salsa, Tito, Jose, they weren't even fighting. Jose was leaving. I'm saying, where you going? There's a grand championship. And you're there for 2. He ended up winning 2, forms and fighting. And Justo was sitting in the damn audience. What are you doing? And he said, I said, it's $500. My lady was in the back counting it. You know what I mean? I'm not giving them no damn check that might bounce. No. Because it's not the way you do things. That's the way they did it to me. Oh, get on that line. Oh, yeah. Oh, wait a few more days for the check. No. This is not about anything except for doing the right thing. So again, all that to say, I love the fact that you did that to Derek, and I remember what you did for KA, rest in peace, and now that you've added, bro, I love that because that, if there's 100 people like you, still not enough freaking people. Every region of the freaking world has the same people that have been forgotten and they've been influencers for decades and decades and decades, unsung heroes that don't give a damn. And none of them did it for the money, but you know what? That's why they got divorced. Because they were spending time over there, and wife said, what are you doing? The chicken aside? If the chicken aside was making money, they wouldn't mind. Because then they'll get the money, go shopping. So I'm like, when I added 70 and above, grand champion, 500 fighting, 500 forms, why? Because I don't have any more. That's the reason. When I separated by 5 years, it made sense to me. You know that a person who's 5 years old and the person who's 10 years old, that's not the same person. Well, when they're 50 and 55, in those 5 years, a lot of things can happen. But that's still better than 10 years. I wish I could do a little. I'll figure it out. The point is that give people an opportunity. And that's what I want. I don't want no freaking panhandling. I don't want none of that crap. I don't need no freaking accolades. Give me an opportunity for me to earn my own. God bless the man who has his own. The child has it. I want to give me a chance. Honey, let me get that. So, I'm proud of you. Justo calls me and he got inspired. All right, cool. And I try to give him some advice. But at the same time, when someone's committed to what they're going to do, you know, I'm not going to be... Bro, it's his dream. You don't mess around with people's dreams. You support or get out the way, but you don't, I at least the way I believe.
I agree.
Yeah. So when I told him the advice that I gave him, I said, Justo, first and foremost, you're the guy that swept 3 freaking people in one tournament. Scored on 2 of them. And it's impossible because your neck and your back. You got injured in the middle of training and had an injury on top of your injuries. And your wife was pissed off at you when she found out that you were going to train when we were on a call like this. Bro, you could do right now a sweeping seminar. A video of how to. You have to become you Inc. From that, you can do anything else you want in addition to it. So, no, I'm nobody. Bro, what are you talking about? God doesn't make... Stop it. You have an opportunity right now to ride that wave in one of the many lanes that we're part of. One of the many lanes. Here you are, proud grandfather. Yeah, my youngest grandson is 10. He just turned 10. Jerry Fonson is the 3rd. Has a deep voice. He's 12 years old. In the high spectrum of autism, but you can never tell now because he's really going through it. So I'm like, we all have these generational lives that fortunate to be around. Health, number 1. I don't have to say it. I've been trying to help people. And now with these patches, bro, I got 6 patches on right now, bro. It's crazy. No, actually, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 here. 5, 6, 7, 8. I got 8 patches. 8 patches. But look at the difference. Look at this. Yeah, 8 different. But look at this. This is not even half of my inventory. I got 5 figures of inventory, bro. 4. That means like 8, right?
4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah.
8. The other day I was wearing 10. Why? I needed to release my stress.
24 hours.
24 hours. Well, not 2 of them.
We have to take off.
We gotta,
Put it back on.
it's time?
Almost.
Almost time. It's almost time for us to switch it up. If your stress level is high, you need peace. Cortisol increases when you have stress. I got nothing but stress. It has been alleviated a little bit because she hasn't gotten messed up too bad. I have photos where she would get a seizure, my mother would get an asthma attack, and I'm in the middle of EMS. That wasn't one time. And of course, we fake it, we lie, but inside, we're like, yo, I can't even cry, because someone has to be strong. In the meantime, you know how I camouflage my crying? Check it out. Either I watch a movie, oh, yeah, got me. Or I watch one of the competition shows like X Factor or whatever, when they tell their story and they win, and then I'm like, oh, I'm so happy for them. But that's backed up shit for years. You know what I'm saying? You got to camouflage that damn thing. Otherwise, they think you're soft, which is not really the case. But my point is that all of us have gone through it. Yeah, baby.
You got this on your arm?
No, that's the only one I don't have. I don't have pain. I don't have pain. But that one right there, okay, so the average person